Hi, wise humans. This is Cynthia Sue Larson with RealityShifters.com talking with you today about how to align with better timelines. And this is such a good question because it's something that came in from a friend of mine, John. He was asking about, well, he says, there's one subject that I feel is often neglected in all the consciousness conversations. Oh, I know it's discussed from time to time, but I don't think it's emphasized enough in a pragmatic way. That is how literally the how of aligning yourself with a desired outcome. You mentioned this in your letter briefly about how focusing on the problem reinforces the problem, but I still feel that most people don't understand this. The outcome must be visualized, not the desired change, lest one gets stuck in changes rather than outcomes. I will eagerly watch the IMEC talks from the summer, searching for anyone discussing this in particular. For instance, what works really well. At this point in the year 2024, there should be known pragmatic ways to experience new outcomes. What mindset is required? A lot of the conversations seem to revolve around someone having the ability to experience reality shifts. Oh, I know, you discussed this in your book. But outside of the book, I feel the subject is neglected. So that's my goal for the winter, to search for additional pragmatic solutions to realizing desired outcomes. So first of all, I would of course suggest asking my favorite question, how good can it get? And I would do so for all concerned. The reason for that is I think a lot of our getting off track is getting drawn into win-lose scenarios where we think we're winning and someone's losing, and we get fixated on what happens if we lose. And I think the best outcome for everyone concerned is ultimately going to be one that's quite spiritual, actually. So this ties in with another question. I'm going to read it too, and then we'll dive into both of them a little bit. The second question comes from my friend Nashi, who says, I love what you've shared over the years on reality shifting, and your favorite question, how good can it get, has really helped me reframe my perspective recently when going through some tough times. My question has to do with something you've mentioned in several of your videos, which is to ask how good can it get for all of us, including those who may hate us or who have harmed us a great deal, or worse. How can I ask how good can it get for all of us when deep down it feels inauthentic to wish for the good of these people? You've made some points in your video about the Hopey Prophecy, but I hope you can elaborate or expand on them for these people who, like I, still find it a hard bridge to cross. So, okay, that prophecy rock is cool. It was done way before World War I and II, but it seems to show these great shakings that symbolize them. After that, there's a divergence point, two paths. One goes up, and that one has little robotic, to me they look robotic, people with their square heads starting to pop off as they go into, I don't know what, the cloud. Maybe that's the singularity of transhumanism. It looks that way to me. I'm choosing to stay with the path that continues around the corner of the prophecy rock, around the bend, and even the elderly make it through on that just fine. The young people, the old people. What's the difference, you may ask? The Hopi talk about this being the fourth world, that we're moving into the fifth, that you'll know that we're getting there because there will be signs indicating that with the return of animals and plants that had long been extinct. And we have noticed that through the IMEC, the International Mandela Effect Conference. We cover some of these extinct animals and plants coming back, sure enough. And it's strange when it happens, but then you start noticing, hold on, something's going on. Yes, in my book, The Mandela Effect and Its Society, I talk about a lot of different possible reasons for the Mandela Effect. One of the top ones has to do with consciousness and the great awakening that's happening right now. Like the Hopey Prophecy rock, with the great shakings, there's been the concern about how do we humans go forward. Some people look to technological solutions. That's the danger, as I see it, of transhumanism, that we can get fooled into thinking artificial general intelligence can be like our God and fill in the role of that. I think that's a huge mistake. So I would recommend doing what the Hopi recommend, which is stay connected to plants, animals, people, the earth, and stay close to those you love. Keep that love connection. So that's also my answer to Nushi with the question about how do you wish the best for everyone when they've made mistakes and fallen off course. They have become greedy, selfish, they've suffered from the seven deadly sins. We can see it on others. To me, that's a clue. When we see others acting evil, then we need to look at healing within ourselves any of our tendencies to be prideful. In other words, if I think I'm so far above someone else that I'm judging them unduly, that's not so much better. And if I'm greedy, that's not so much better. And if I'm lazy, that's not good either. So these are ways that we know that we've taken a dead-end shortcut into these seven deadly sins. Hundreds of Buddhist torments are similar. And we know then that that's off course. So in order to be able to wish the best for all concerned, when we can feel goodness in our heart and wish love and awareness and every good thing of the highest level of spiritual understanding for everyone, no matter what they've done, then we are vibrating at a much higher level, like the David Hawkins scale presents. If you look at that in his books, Power versus Force and Transcending Levels of Consciousness. In these books, David Hawkins describes that we can measure where we're at. We can become authentic with that. And when Nushi asks, how can you authentically wish something that you don't feel? Well, I don't think we really can. So then it becomes a process that if we are going to be in alignment with Creator, with the Absolute, we need to start becoming more involved and caring about other plants, animals, beings, and so forth. It's very important. And this ties back in with what can we do about reality shifting. I think a lot of the reason for reality shifters being empaths and intuitive feelers is that they tend to naturally notice the Hawkins scale on some level, and they're aware already that if they're holding grudges inside themselves, that they're messing up their own manifesting, creating abilities. Absolutely. So this is a simple thing to do, not easy, might take a lifetime, but you can totally see progress, and there are tools to utilize, like noticing the Hawkins scale, for one, and also noticing if you're upset with other people, then clearing that within yourself, listening deeply to yourself. Other things you can do would be honing your left brain intentional and attentional skills. That would be your ability to lock onto and focus on what is it that you wish for yourself and others and for all of us. Like I'm wishing for Rev Humanism instead of transhumanism. Rev Humanism being a return to the revitalizing sense of everything being possible within us already, that we are miracles, that we're constantly learning, as we definitely are, that we've got these quantum superpowers of bilocation, teleportation, psychic abilities, mind-matter interaction, things I describe in my book, The Mandela Effect and Its Society. These are possible for pure humans. You don't need to rely upon tremendous upgrades of technology of any kind. We've got everything we need within us. Now, I'm not saying I'm against technology, not at all. What I'm very wary of and very concerned about would be people making a choice, which I think is unfortunate, of elevating any form of transhumanism above what's possible for humans, because I know that's a dead-end mistake. It just feels like placing pride in a false god. So it looks destined to disaster. Anyway, back on track with what John was asking. What are the tips and tools? Okay, so we've talked about the spiritual thing and about the higher you vibrate, the more energy you can feel. I can really feel that Kundalini energy flowing, and when I've got it, sometimes I know that whatever I'm focusing on, that I intention and attentionally have locked and loaded, and I'm just noticing I need that locked door to open for me, even if it is locked, and then it does, because I need it, I want it, I feel it, and the energy's flowing. Because I'm in a state where I can recognize, like, this is that energy that can move anything. People that practice Reiki recognize it. A lot of people are doing energy work these days, and they start noticing, oh, there's an energy to this, sort of a Kundalini kind of an energy. So we can become focused on learning how to work with that. On the right brain side, we've got our sensitivity, and that's where intuition comes in, and the ability to sense, for example, that there might be an alternate possible reality just adjacent to this one, And you can step into it, and you can feel that as you act as if you're there, suddenly it feels like you are there, and you believe it, and you have full faith that you're there. And once again, that energy from that spiritual flow and alignment totally makes a difference. Keeping the attention focused, and I think that's the heart of John's question today. Like, what happens if you accidentally think about something that you didn't mean to? That can happen. It does happen. Keep in mind that when you're working on results, most of the time sometimes we want instant results for a parking spot or opening a locked door, but usually a lot of the things we're intending for ourselves and loved ones would be a healing or just prosperity, things going better in general, and we can be a little more open-ended about the timing. That's good, because then that means if you fall into any kind of off-topic focusing and you find yourself thinking about that future possible event, but you're thinking not on your optimal timeline, something else, that's great that you noticed. And you can then take a deep breath, relax, maybe get outside, hug a tree, kind of do whatever centers and grounds you. Recognize you can now let go of that. That's not yours. That's just something that came to mind. It's not what you're focusing on. And then just go into a period of intentional focus for a few minutes or 20 minutes, and just feel that high elevated sense of love and reverence, that spiritual alignment with oneness, with source. Focus again on the proper thing, and then if you can get into that daydreamy state where you can sense like, the timeline is here, that's perfect, because then you can really select that. And that question that I love so much, how good can it get, is so good for this, because it can help to ensure success. Then you know, like, okay, I'm on this, I've got this, it's coming through. So until next time, wise humans, just keep recognizing that is who we are. We are living a waking dream of how good can it get. We're doing this together. We're lifting each other up, and that's going to make it much more possible for all of us when we know that together we are wishing for the best, and we are feeling that love in our hearts for ourselves and others, and we are in relationship with the birds and the animals and the plants and the sky and the earth and the stars and you and I. So until next time, just keep asking that good question, or any variation of it. How good can it get? I love you so much.